from a woman's perspective, what do you think are some of the obstacles that women face in a relationship? And then, Justin, I can get it from a male perspective. What are some of the obstacles that men face in a relationship?
Yeah.
Great. I love this question, and I think it changes. I think a little bit in the season that you're in, the stage of relationship that you're in. I think early on, when a woman finds a prospective partner and she's like, "Oh, this guy ticks my boxes and meets my needs, and I'm excited about my future, and he's speaking in the same sort of language," and they start making long-term plans and commitments. I think we dive all in, and I think we're very much, we're excited about a wonderful future, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I think in those early stages, possibly the thing we sometimes can get caught up in is in a very deep nurture phase, and we nurture and nurture and nurture, possibly not always understanding that the person we fell in love with needs to grow and change and develop into who he's going to be. I think when children come along is probably the time when a woman first deeply struggles. Certainly that was the case for me. When I had children, all of a sudden I became incredibly vulnerable. And vulnerability is really difficult for a lot of women to feel, because in our generally, I'm just speaking generally, but in our culture, generally, we now have very independent women. We're standing on our own 2 feet. We're this strong woman. And that's what the man is definitely attracted to too. This go-getter. She's out there living her life, and he thinks it's wonderful, and it is. But when we first start to feel vulnerability, we need to lean into our relationship. We need to lean on our man, and all of a sudden we've got this new little being in our life that is that we instinctually know needs us, and we go through a major change in our lives on so many levels. So when we feel that vulnerability, we need to really rely on the relationship in a whole, and on our partner in a whole new way. And I think even more broadly on the larger group, the larger family, or the support network that we have around us. And I think that stage needs a lot of communication, and that's something we missed. Then I think the next sort of in the next period of time, the major challenges start to really be that we don't understand what we've brought into the relationship. We often don't understand our love language, our attachment styles, these terms that a lot of people might have heard, and how that impacts our partner. The other thing I think women stumble around in is just how much parenting affects the man, the husband, and the father, and how he needs to change and grow and step into a new role in his life that sometimes he might be afraid of. He's also going to see us in a new light. All of a sudden we're dependent. All of a sudden we're not coping, perhaps, and needing a whole nother level of care and security to really bring out our best so we can look after the children. And I know that's a joint role, but that's absolutely really fundamental in the dynamic. And I think then as it goes on, it's really about how we communicate our struggles, how we have those difficult conversations, and how we allow our man, our husband or partner to grow, change, and develop, and creating space for him to do that, for creating space for him also to be vulnerable. So, and bring that into the relationship. So I think they're the major hurdles. They're big.
I think if I can throw one more in there, which I think a lot of women, this is something we've discovered on our journey, but I think there's a lot of women that probably aren't consciously aware of enough, maybe, and that is their need for safety.
Oh, yes.
How unsafe a woman can feel in a relationship, whether her man's showing up or not. It's just part of her biology, because of how we've evolved, that women feel unsafe in their nervous system a lot of the time, and a lot of that subconscious. And that was something that you had to really come to terms with as well. And then that leads into what Maria is saying about relying on the guy. Sometimes you can't, because the guy's not showing up, but understanding that feeling within yourself to be able to start to calm your own responses down so you can get clarity rather than reacting from that.
And I will say the last part, I think, for me has really been really trusting my intuition and learning to listen to myself, learning to trust myself deeply. And so I'm forming a relationship, a deep relationship with myself first, and then I can bring more of that to my partner and let that guide us, because that intuition, the feminine intuition and her vision is it's a beautiful gift to the relationship. But we have to be able to feel safe, to be able to feel it and communicate it in a healthy way, and that ends up being just such a gift into the relationship.